revolutionize in-home care for the elderly and chronically ill. Anthony's vision is to protect millions of individuals across the United States who may be at risk of losing their independence, from children and adults with chronic conditions and disabilities to at-risk adults. Electronic Caregiver reaches out to improve health outcomes, improve treatment adherence, preserve independence, deliver additional security, and most of all, protect personal dignity. His company, Electronic Caregiver, is headquartered in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and employs over 130 full-time employees with forecasts to add hundreds of additional jobs in the coming months. Our second guest is Jamie Jaramillo, a highly skilled and accomplished registered nurse, holding a Bachelor's of Science in Nursing degree with extensive experience in various fields such as the NICU, telehealth, and training. Jamie has a passion for education and has played a pivotal role in developing and conducting training programs for CCM health coaches. She brings a wealth of expertise and dedication to her current role, making a significant impact on the lives of her patients and colleagues alike. In addition to her professional life, Jamie is an active member of her community and pursues a wide range of interests, showcasing her well-rounded personality, and is also the instructor of NMSU's Micro-Learning Care Coach Certification. Please join us in welcoming Anthony and Jamie to our live panel today. And just so everyone knows, Jamie and Anthony are the stars of the show, and I am Andrew Cedillo, and I oversee NMSU Micro-Learning and the instructional design lead for NMSU's digital learning team. As a moderator, I'll jump in with some questions from time to time. So without further ado, let's kick things off. Is there anything you all want to say before we get started, Anthony and Jamie?
Well, we more than doubled the size of our workforce. So now we're sitting right at about 300. And of the 300 employees, about 99% of them are all Aggies. Go Aggies.
Yep, insert fight song. So I guess we'll kick things off with our first question. So Jamie, tell us about your journey from student to ECG to nurse and then back to ECG. How did this improve your career, and why is it beneficial to take this micro-credential course?
Sure. So I am one of those Aggies. So go Aggies. ECG has provided me with a lot of great opportunities to grow as a healthcare professional and as a leader that I never really imagined possible. I actually worked here while I was a student. I was hired as a student nurse to help build medical protocols for Addison, our virtual caregiver who helps people manage their chronic conditions. And it was a really unique experience because I was super blessed that ECG is in this side of healthcare that nobody really talks about, but it's growing continually in telehealth. And I didn't really learn much about it in school, but it was still very much pertinent to my nursing degree. So I worked here for 2 years and then I left because I felt like I needed to get that hands-on experience with patients to better understand healthcare and utilize that knowledge. I worked at the hospital for a total of 2.5 years as a NICU nurse, and I got a lot of really great experience there. But the schedule ultimately just wasn't a good fit for my family and I. Hospital shifts are long, as everybody knows, it's 12-hour shifts. So I would leave before anybody woke up and I would come home when my kids were already in bed. So since being back, I've gotten to grow into a completely different kind of nurse. With my hospital experience, I'm able to understand prioritization and how different members of the multidisciplinary team are involved in a patient's care. So now with the experience I've been given, or I guess the opportunity I've been given to grow here at ECG, I've also become a stronger leader. And I've discovered that my heart is in teaching people and just teaching people how to be great healthcare professionals. I think that this course is really great for people that are interested in the healthcare field, especially telehealth. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, the need for telehealth has become just more apparent. And the field itself has grown very rapidly, as we all know. Students in this class will get the opportunity to learn more about telehealth, and they're introduced to that very rewarding side of healthcare that not a lot of people do know about, which is health coaching. As a health coach, you get to be someone's personal cheerleader. You get to help that person not only manage their chronic conditions, but you're also helping them make and achieve their health goals. In this course, we're giving students that opportunity to not only learn about health coaching and what a health coach does, what their day-to-day life looks like, but they also get to try it out for themselves and decide if it's right for them. And they get to see a telehealth side of health coaching, which isn't very common. This is a great way just to get your foot in the door for telehealth and for health coaching.
Very
I
good.
think you want to add to that, Anthony?
From a career perspective, this is a place where there's a lot of stability and a lot of growth, right? We have, when you look around the world, you look at the size of the industry here, you know, I think we're at about $4.1 trillion for the US healthcare industry. It's over 12 trillion worldwide. And we're on a short path to get to over $6 trillion in the US. And so what is the cause of that? Well, of course, we have a big expanding global population of 8+ billion, and that's a lot of people. 1 in every 3 people live with what's called comorbidities, multiple chronic conditions. 1/3 of Earth, the people on Earth. In the United States, fortunately, right, we are in this wonderfully fertile market where unfortunately it's more than 1/3. It's 40% of the US population is living with chronic diseases. And then we have the challenge of half of all of the treatment failures worldwide are attributed to what's called non-adherence, meaning people get discharged from a hospital or get a life-limiting or life-changing diagnosis and they go home and there are vitals to record and maybe wounds to clean or medications to take, and it's complicated. I mean, people are dealing with the mental impact, the psychological impact, which can lead to depression and hopelessness and fear. And then some of them are now on medications that introduce memory loss. They might have changes in their ability to be, mobile or active, or have to change their nutrition. And it's just all very confusing. All of that non-adherence doesn't happen in the doctor's office. It happens at home. Okay. Now, when you take an aging population in the US, that the majority of them have multiple chronic conditions and need assistance as they age. And that demographic is doubling in size. And then we have this hockey stick skyrocketing rate of expanding chronic illness from environment, stress, the way our diets have changed. And then by 2034, we'll be short 13 million nurses. In the US, by around 2030, we'll be short 125,000 doctors. So there's more patients than ever. There's less doctors, less nurses to serve. And if we don't introduce technology and marry that with intermediary telecare that can help watch over devices and technology in the home, provide some additional assessment and inquiries with the patient so that health record gets updated. If we see an alert or it looks like somebody's having an escalating condition, they're in health decline, they're experiencing an exacerbation, it's good for a telecare team to reach out, further assess that patient so that what gets passed to the doctor is only actionable data, right? Because a doctor, when you talk to them behind the scenes, they say, I'd like to say I'm running my practice, but my practice is running me. The last thing I have is time. We have our priorities, we have our workflows, we have our staffing issues. And it just, we feel buried all the time. So if we had to watch over all these devices in the field, and if we had to do these additional assessments to kind of curate that data, it would bury our ability to run our core business. There really is no way forward in the world for healthcare without the introduction of technology married to a telecare infrastructure and then integrated and connected to the provider side. Doctors have got to have a way to serve more patients more efficiently. And there are a lot of other things, but I don't want to just, because I can add some stuff to that, but I don't want to get in the way of your questions. I'll find a way to layer it in. It's a great field. It's an expanding field. And I personally don't believe there is any way forward without the type of business models that we've created. And it comes at a time where all of the right stars came into perfect alignment, right? In other words, this would have been impossible 10 or 20 years ago. It's only possible today. We needed to have two back-to-back presidents from Bush to Obama push the digitization of health records. We needed the government to push, legislation that made these systems compatible and able to securely communicate and transfer data. We needed widespread adoption of affordable cellular and affordable broadband, right? And we needed to get people away from running outdated servers that were poorly supported in their back office closets and get everybody into the global internet cloud. And all those things have converged with emerging technologies to this point in time, making it possible for us to be able to serve the demand in the only possible effective way available. And it's a great time.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Tony. That's one of the great things as well, is a lot of the things that you've shared. It's very present in the micro-credential course that Jamie has put together. And it's nice to get that out to people as they enroll in this course and learn a little bit more about telehealth and its importance. So I'm very happy that you shared that. So a little bit about ECG. You mentioned that you employ a lot of Aggies, go Aggies. So why did you bring ECG here to Las Cruces? And can you tell us a little bit about the story of ECG as well?
Well, I was a California boy, right? Grew up in Southern California. And I had started in Las Cruces with the previous business, Laser Shield. I had to migrate a lot of employees in, and they were coming from big cities from coast to coast, but more affordable cities than Southern California. Right? I had people coming out of parts of Oregon and people coming out of Virginia, and they said, for what the pay is, we can't maintain our lifestyle and, that we're accustomed to moving to San Diego. You're going to have to pay us a lot more to be able to maintain that lifestyle. And everything from just, taxes and fuel costs and everything was just higher. It was more of a pressure for everybody. So I had some friends that lived in Southern New Mexico. I've been looking at Nevada and Arizona. And they said, you got to come out here and check this city out. I know it's a little bit longer flight for you, but this town has a lot to offer. And one of the big things about the town that was very attractive was the university. And for a very specific reason. People said, you're in technology. You got to be in Boston. You got to be in San Francisco. You could be in San Diego, or maybe you need to be in Seattle. You can't do it there. It's, an agricultural kind of based university and society. But what I got is an inside scoop that there was a ton of technology being developed inside of NMSU. They were expanding their health programs and health initiatives. That we had the third largest military industrial complex in the country, in the area. We had more PhDs per capita because of Los Alamos, White Sands, Sandia, and that it was kind of a, this hidden gem that defense industry and the intelligence industry was pulling a lot of technology out of the university. But what hadn't happened yet is it hadn't been recognized for the gem it was. So we didn't have a lot of venture capital firms putting up incubating companies and taking commercial applications and technologies, things that would be commercialized for consumers or patients. We weren't seeing a lot of that yet. And I said, you will be able to get collaboration with the university. You will have access to hiring an unbelievable, workforce being expertly trained out of the university. And you're going to find everybody has an unbelievable lifestyle living here. The dollar goes a long way. And it is, it's going to surprise people. You will come here and you will build a Rio Grande technology corridor. And New Mexico needs to be put on the map with a project like that. So, we came, we met, folks at the university. We looked at the town. I brought some executives through. One of them had actually lived in Santa Fe and had an affection for New Mexico. And that was it. It got rubber stamped, and here we are. And it was the best decision we ever made.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So my next question relates to telehealth, and I think that telehealth, especially for someone like myself who isn't in the medical field, because of the pandemic, right? Maybe like 3 years ago, I feel that I've personally seen the value of telehealth, right? Because previously, before that, I was making my doctor visits, but because I had no other choice, I found it was just as effective to just communicate via telehealth, via Zoom, or just text messaging at times. And
Sure.
I've really enjoyed it, that whole experience. And I feel that, I'm speaking on my behalf, but I'm sure a lot of people can relate, especially those who aren't in the medical field, who have really enjoyed this. And so here's a question for both of you. How do you see telehealth affecting the future of healthcare?
I have my answer, but I'll let Jamie go first.
Sounds good. So I believe telehealth will only continue to grow, and it'll eventually become standard for many health related uses. Of course, telehealth can never replace an in-person doctor visit, and we don't want it to, but we can use telehealth for so much more than what people think of when they hear the word telehealth. We don't have to replace a doctor's visit with a telehealth appointment, but instead we can supplement that appointment with more information for that doctor to review so that they can make more informed decisions about what has happened. They can make decisions based on everything that has happened between instead of what's just happening here in the office. We can target health conditions before they become major health issues. We can help people reach emergency medical attention sooner if they need it. Their health information can be all in one place instead of separated throughout their different providers, where those providers might not be getting the whole picture. So there are many more uses for telehealth than I think people realize.
Yeah, I think so. There are a lot of gaps in current care, and I think prior to the pandemic, people looked at telemedicine as a video chat with a doctor that would be this occasional thing. The average patient sees a doctor 4 times a year. Well, a lot happens across a calendar quarter, right, with people's conditions, especially when they're managing comorbidities. So we're kind of going from this episodic where we see somebody when something's happening to this continuous kind of chronic oversight for a patient. What the pandemic did was it gave companies like ours an opportunity to show off our capabilities. For instance, the 2 local hospitals here who compete with each other. They don't like each other, right? They get different staffing, different automation. They respect each other, but they're competitors. They both came to us and said, we've converted these floors to COVID wards, and we don't have any capacity to see any more COVID patients. And the numbers just keep climbing. And we're not seeing the people that don't have COVID. We need a solution to start opening up these beds. And within 2 weeks, we leveraged our back-end enterprise solution, and we had created workflows to accommodate both their automation systems and staffing and ways of doing things. And we started moving patients into their homes, putting our technology in that was monitoring them around the clock, and then had that integrated with ongoing telecare where we could remotely triage and continuously assess patients. And in 4 months from deployment, we opened up 70% of the available beds in both hospitals. And the next thing you know, the call comes through one of our partners from Methodist in Memphis, another big health system. And they had the exact same story. And we were so agile, we moved so quickly. In that case, we got a call on a Thursday, sent a proposal on a Friday. They had an emergency meeting on a Saturday. Monday, we were provisioning emergency use systems for their highest risk patients. Tuesday, we were loading them in our corporate plane, and Wednesday, I was piloting a team out and dropping those things. So within a week, just a handful of working days, we'd been able to do that. We got calls from Red Bull in Europe, and they said we have 5 pro soccer teams, part of the, I think you say it, the Bundesliga. And they said, we want all the athletes, all the managers, all the coaches, all the trainers, all the associate administrative staff. We want to keep them busy, active players on the field. We don't want them in atrophy. So we're looking for a solution. We want on their existing equipment at home to be able to ingest vitals data, to be able to do health assessments. We want geo-positioning on their phone tied to an overlay that shows if they get anywhere near a COVID hotspot, and we want it all in German. And so, 6-7 weeks, we deployed that solution, and Red Bull became a customer of Electronic Caregiver. So here we are in our agricultural society with the most advanced digital health solution anywhere in the world, this incredible product over my shoulder that takes it all to a new level. But you know what, you think about what I'm talking about. It wasn't just a video chat. It was continuous monitoring of people that had, a very serious infectious disease coupled with other morbidities. We have leveraged it for education. We've leveraged it in students and faculty, including at the university around the pandemic. We've taken care of athletic teams. We've taken care of these hospital pressures, but we're filling gaps for the very first time in history. And this is important for a doctor. It's important for a hospital. It's important for a pharmaceutical company, right? We, as providers, they prescribe all these medications and deploy all these treatment directives, and they have no visibility into what's happening. People are at home forgetting to record their blood sugar or their respiratory performance or their blood pressure, or blood oxygen, or their weight, and nobody knows. The doctor makes a medication change. Somebody takes on retains 15 pounds very quickly of fluid, and the doctor doesn't know. They're not reporting it. People go to the doctor's office and they don't want to get in trouble with the doctor. The doctor says, "Did you record all your blood pressure readings so you can see how you're responding to your medication?" And they say, "I sure did." And they hand them an envelope, and they've written their blood pressure readings for a month on the back of the envelope. They did it in the parking lot because they forgot to do it over the last month at home. There are symptoms developing. People have aches and pains, or, breaking out with something, just all kinds of different, issues. And what happens is they think, I've got to remember to tell the doctor this. But then a couple months go by before their next visit, and they sit for an hour in the waiting room and another half hour in the exam room. The doctor rushes in and opens a file and asks them questions. Next thing you know, it's 7 minutes and they're done. And they forgot to mention any of these developing symptoms that the doctor has no visibility into. The health file is absent of critical information for developing changing circumstances that are evidence of continuous health decline. Pretty soon, between that visit and the next, the patient, who is not telling the family because I don't want to be a burden, I don't want to frighten my son or daughter, I don't want to upset my spouse, these symptoms become just accepted as the new normal. And then it develops and rapidly escalates into a catastrophic circumstance: shorter life, hospitalization, strokes, heart failure, respiratory failure, death, right? So here we are for the first time now, making sure we have oversight on the patient every day. We're seeing day-to-day transitional changes. We are in real time able to empower the doctor to see precisely how each individual patient at scale across a big population, but on an individualized basis, we can see how these patients are responding to their treatment directives, which means I'm now empowered to deliver precision medicine, personalized precision medicine. Now I can intervene, and I can intervene faster, I can intervene earlier, and I can intervene more informed, so I can tweak and fine-tune the treatment plan to produce better outcomes, more comfort, longer functional lifespan, higher quality of life for the patients I'm serving. Without what we do between telecare and extending this technology, there's no way to make that happen. When you look in the case of a pharmaceutical company, the risk that is mitigated and reduced with the ability to have more data and more insight every day into how these participants with clinical trials are responding, to be able to flag and identify adverse reactions earlier, more accurately. It's fantastic. And, there's people think, what would my job be in telecare, and why do I need all this additional training? Because it's not bedside treatment. It's not working in a clinic where are different technologies, different platforms, a lot of different, patient with different disease, combinations of diseases. And there are a lot of different types of services. So somebody might be doing behavioral health. Somebody might be responding and supervising technology and doing health assessments and updating health records relating to technology. Other ones, there's no technology in the home, but they're doing regular scheduled outreach and engaging these patients and going through specific interrogatories and making specific notations. Other ones are only handling escalations. We find a patient that's in a specific category of disease and they're having an exacerbation, right? This thing is ratcheted up and, we might need to get them into the clinic or the ER. We got to find out. Might need to change the med, right? So we get that flagged and it gets to somebody who handles that escalation, takes it to the next level before we get that information to the provider. It is fast. It is exciting. The skills required are diverse. Technology, even when you're on the remote care and there's no equipment in the home, technology in our place is still involved. So you have to really be able to broaden your skill sets to be able to operate in this fast-paced environment, which, by the way, has panoramic views and an incredible culture and an amazing team and a lot of enthusiasm and motivating, little, treatments throughout the organization.
Yeah,
So
thank
I'm
you.
known for long-winded answers.
Hey, thank you so much for that, Tony. I mean, there's a lot of great information that you shared, and I think it's gotten people really curious because our chat is definitely booming right now. And you mentioned a lot about educating people, and that's what this micro-credential that you all are offering is all about, to educate people more about telecare. And I wanted to just kind of talk a little bit more about that and our partnership with working with your wall. So currently, we do offer a ECG Care Coach certification. And one thing I wanted to share too is that, as you could hear, as Jamie and Tony are speaking, there's a lot of passion and drive, every time they're responding to these questions because they genuinely love what they do. And when you go through this course, you'll find that this isn't a cookie cutter course. This was actually designed by ECG team members. So this team actually have created in-house videos, created in-house activities. And what these activities are all about is educating you on what a telehealth care coach is, but also shares with you exactly or creates learning experiences that simulate what you would actually go through as a care coach working for ECG. And one of the great things about this is that at the end of this course, you do get a certification and also a digital badge that you can share with employers such as ECG, showcasing that you have the skill sets to be a care coach. So with that being said, I kind of wanted to go towards Jamie a little bit. Jamie, can you share a little bit about the return on investment for enrolling in this course?
Sure. Yeah. So this course, we teach you obviously how to be a health coach. We talk about what it is to be a health coach, things that you should be looking for, things that we would talk about. But it also, whenever you get that micro credential, it can show up on your transcript and you can show that to your employers. You can show it to future employers saying like, look, I've done the work to learn more about this side of healthcare, to learn how to be a health coach. And I'm invested in being a good health coach or being a good healthcare professional, whatever that looks like for you. And that makes you more marketable as a person whenever you're trying to get into that workforce.
Thank you. So I think what we could do is we can start answering any questions that the guests have. So if you'd like any more information, does anyone have any questions? We have the ECG team online. Tony and Jamie are here and ready to ask any questions that you have. And Alyssa, I don't know if you have probably all the power to do that.
I see the questions coming through. So one question is, does this certification guarantee employment with ECG?
So it doesn't guarantee employment with ECG, but it definitely gives us a great opportunity to see what your skills are, if you are a good fit with the company, and it shows us that you've made the effort to learn how to be a health coach. So then we can consider you for employment. It's definitely not a guarantee, but it definitely gets your foot in that door a lot sooner.
Yeah, it does put you at the top of the stack when you've gone through this credentialing. And just to give you some insight, we have we have a lot of different ways that we look at somebody. So the credentialing is one thing, of course. having a positive attitude and being a compassionate individual with good communication skills. It helps when you have good typing skills. Just want to throw that in. But just a little insight on the company. So we did something a lot of people thought we weren't going to do here in Las Cruces, New Mexico. We raised about $110 million to develop this company and expand it. And we are providing services nationwide. We are out right now presenting to 40 of the biggest funds in the world for another $100 million raise. And we are planning on doubling the size of the staff in our telecare center. Right now, we own the tallest building in southern New Mexico. And our entire floor, third floor, is all the telehealth coaches. We have operations on other floors, but primarily that's all the telecare professionals. And we're about to double that and recable and relay out the entire second floor of the ECG tower. And so we are going to be doing some hiring, some significant hiring this year. We're going through a big expansion.
Awesome. And I know we are just a couple minutes over, so I just want to, I think that this is one of the questions that I've seen a couple of times. Are these courses asynchronous, synchronous? I'm sure there's elements of both, as I understand. So can you speak a little bit to the expectation during the 8 weeks? Like, when are people expected to be in class, or can they take it just anytime during the 8 weeks to get it done?
Sure. So it is a modified self-paced course. We have webinars that have been previously recorded that are uploaded weekly for the students to review. And they just have to have those assignments for that week done by Sunday. As long as they have all of them done by Sunday, then they're good to go for that week. Our next class starts on May 17th. So we'll be starting our next cohort then, and I'm really excited to teach you. So come learn with us.
Awesome. And in the chat right now, there's a link out to the course for anybody that's interested to go check it out and sign up if we have given you some exciting information about ECG at this point. Is there, or are there any final questions? One final question coming through that we'll ask before we hop off. Other than ECG, could this certification be used anywhere else?
Oh, sure. I mean, there are telecare contact centers all over the country. Every city. It's one of the fastest growing sectors. So if you are going in and saying, I have been through, credentialing and training, I understand the acronyms, the services associated with these different, Medicare services, for instance. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a shoo-in.
And to go along with that too, one of the things that we award through the NMSU side is a digital learning badge, which also has ECG and NMSU's partnership on it. You can share that link with employers included on your resume. If they're curious about what skills you mastered as a result of this certification, they can select that link, and it has a clear breakdown of everything that you were able to do as a result of this course. So it tells your story a little bit more than just a typical certificate as well.
Yeah, perfect. A lot of hiring going on across the country. And if you really want to expand your horizons, there's a lot of hiring going on, around the world. A lot of opportunities across all of Europe right now. So if you want to take a break from the US and get over into Germany or Austria or Paris or France, there's it's everywhere. So.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys. Thanks everybody for joining us today. Feel free with any final questions to reach out to global@nmsu.edu, and we can connect you with ECG team or answer any questions that you have. So we appreciate your time today. Thank you so much, Jamie and Tony, for being a part of this. And we look forward to any potential students and maybe new employees for ECG that we find here. So have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.